Just for the last, for the tail end.
Do you feel that it will, do you see it going in a different direction this time? Or do you, like, of course, it's the same program, but do you see it as a change in how things are going so far as of yet?
Well, I've never experienced the beginning, but the pattern is that things are always tweaking. There's always like new faculty, different classes. So it's kind of continuous improvement. Minor, depending on how the feedback is, but there's a general pattern that we follow. There's a lot of moving pieces. So I think it'll be similar but different.
It also depends on who's involved in the program this time around.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I would welcome everybody. I would run the program.
No from the States. Hawaii.
What? Oh, that's awesome.
Yourself. You're not from here, are you?
I hope your family wasn't impacted too much.
My mom freaked out.
Oh, did you hear about it after her?
During?
During or?
During and after. It was this morning. There's like a 12-hour difference. So it was 13 hours. Anyways, it was like 20 minutes of like nothing else going on.
I can't believe things like that happened today. Insane.
I don't know. I know she took it very seriously. It was, but yeah, a lot of people were freaking out.
Yeah. I can imagine if it happened for real, it'd be really one more thing.
There's not much you can do.
No.
We're not really built for, there's no bunkers.
No, deciding what you're supposed to do anyways.
Right.
Right. Everyone gets together and pray.
Short as possible.
Everyone hold hands. I don't know.
Do you want to pop into this key?
So are you?
I'm Canadian.
Okay.
I've come here to work at Pennsylvania, and this is around the corner. Oh, hi. Hi. I was working there since the end of August, and I do just have my positions and stuff. Looking at CIID, I'm looking for who's been come out for master's programs and kind of combine those two fields and design. Looking around, what's going on in that kind of realm in Copenhagen.
Cool. You'll get the full overview. It's a very dense night, I think, of what we're up to.
Can you put a design and decision lecture that was last
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Were you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was quite interesting. Really cool to hear. Everything about something very specific.
Yes. The Sherwins teach our team building class. And so they were kind of going over a normal team formation process and how you navigate different phases of becoming a unit and dealing with conflict.
Do they come for the team building class because they're based in California?
And they're moving to Portland, but
Oh, sorry.
yeah. Why them? They're good. I don't know. We have a really large network of visiting faculty.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Maybe more visiting faculty than students. I was looking at the website.
It's a good program.
I was like, wow.
You have more teachers than students.
Yeah. And then we're doing the summer school, or we're taking the summer school model and bringing it to different cities. So that's kind of bringing our full teaching network out as much as we can.
Are you involved in that?
Not at the moment.
Maybe.
There's always it's a very modular system, so we get a lot of our faculty who are practitioners and we can bring as each topics become more relevant.
New faculty come.
Yeah, I was part of a school that was connected to CIID. I was part of the Parent Design Institute of Brea, which then closed and put some money came up here to Copenhagen to start the school. That was like 10, 12 years ago. kind of part of the network. And I moved here 4 or 5 months ago from Brooklyn. Yeah, just kind of brought me into this part of the so finding my way.
We were about the same time as I am.
Yeah. Summer, I was here for the tail end of summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was told it was supposed to be warmer.
Yeah, I guess compared to Hawaii.
I think in general we had a very cold summer.
Oh, okay, that's true. Yeah, I just came from August. It's quite not warm, but I guess that's 1 year then.
Good evening and welcome, everyone. Thank you all for coming out on this chilly Monday night. I see many familiar faces from CIID and a few from the outside world. And a special hello and welcome to anybody that might be streaming tonight on the internet over YouTube. So hello, internet. Tonight we have a very special and kind of a unique program for you from CIID. Often with our lectures where we invite the members of the public in, we'll get deep on a particular topic or area of expertise. But tonight we're doing something a little bit differently. We're covering all areas that CIID encompasses. We refer to it as the house, and we'll be speaking about its mission generally and then getting into some highlights from 2017. We're kind of a forward-facing institution. It's all about the future, so it's rare when we take the moment to reflect a little bit on a year gone by. And maybe we'll give a little bit of a vision into what's ahead for 2018, but we thought it'd be a great opportunity here in January to bring everyone together and talk about what we've been up to and some of our highlights and successes and exciting moments from 2017, because I think you'll see there's a lot going on here. We have, I think, 7 quick talks for you tonight. We're going to try and get through them all in a short amount of time, but we've budgeted about 7 minutes for our talks. So if you're wondering, if you're a presenter and you're wondering how you're doing, all you have to do is look over to me and I'll give you an indication on when you're coming up to your 7 minutes roughly. But that should give us enough time to get through everybody and to touch all the various areas that and focuses that CIID has been looking at over the last year or so. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Simona Maski and Stavin Karastijian, who are the head honchos at CIID, and will give a little bit of a talk over through what we're going to be seeing tonight. So Simona and Stavin.
Okay.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yes. Also welcome from me. It's quite a special open lecture for us. It's the first time we have this format, and we hope it's the beginning of a new tradition going forward. The idea was to share our joy for the success, the outcomes, and the impact from 2017 with the local community, but again also with the extended network. And maybe also a way for some of the people to better understand actually what CIID does and what are our activities and our people, because often the open lectures are like coming into the house, getting to listen to a story of a foreigner or someone coming to tell a story, but we don't really spend so much time in talking about ourselves in these open lectures. So this is an opportunity to get an overview of the house. So for those who are not familiar with CIID, this place is about learn, innovate, and deploy. And the structure of this evening will reflect and mirror these different activities. So at CIID, we're busy with learning and education, namely through the Interaction Design Program, which is a full-time program focusing on interaction and through design, through summer school professional programs, but also the open lecture series that you probably are familiar with. It's about Innovate, which is the part of the CIID which is more industry-facing. By industry we mean public and private sector organizations. So we have a team of professional people working on business and society challenges on a full-time basis, and they will share some of the stories and the cases from this part. But also Deploy, which is more about the incubation and helping new ventures and startups to create real impact. And this will be about the CIID Nest, which is in a transitional phase into a new plan, but also InnoFounder, which is a new initiative supported by DDC and CIID. And maybe Steven will talk a little bit about what brings all us together and what is shared across the house. We have an alarm. Sure. We are on time.
Fantastic. Thanks, Simona. So as Simona just shared, there's the analogy of the house is great because you can see the different levels of different activities that are happening in the house, and they're all interrelated in some form or another. As she mentioned, learning, there's a lot of different things that we do in order to enable learning and deployment. But innovation studios is specifically the industry-facing part of CIID. And the way we think of it is that we are sort of like the guides for industry partners to extract the value that's generated in the house. So the industry-facing part, the innovation studios, is the door in for external partners to actually leverage all the awesome quality and value that's coming out of the house. But the one thing there's several things that are shared across the house. So we talked about each of the individual separate parts or separate floors or activities in the house. But there's some things that actually are cut across the entire house. And that's what I wanted to share in the slide. So everything that we do here is, you probably heard the term people-centered design. That means that we're designing for people, that we really understand people's needs, wants, desires, and want to design creative, useful, meaningful experiences for people. But we're actually evolving that vocabulary and using the word life-centered design. Why? Because we feel that there's actually many examples out there when you design stuff for what people really want, sometimes you're doing some things that are not so positive for the planet. You know, we have to consider not just the individuals, us as people, but we have to consider the environment that's around us, the ecosystems that are around us, the support ecosystems, especially we have to think in more sustainable ways. So we're evolving that vocabulary from just being people-centered to being life-centered. That doesn't mean we're going away from people, we're including people, but we're going beyond just people. And we're thinking about the ecosystem, the environment, all the living organisms that are also part of the world and we need them to survive. So the whole house is focused on this life-centered approach. We're also about capability building. So a lot of industry-facing service providers in design do things for organizations. We do that as well, but we also want to do it in a way that builds internal capability. So whatever it is that we're doing, we always invite the people that we're working with or working for to participate in the process, to go on this journey with us. Whether we're doing field work, we're going in the field, we're researching, we're shadowing, or we're doing analysis, or we're actually doing any part of the design thinking process, we want to invite our partners, the people that we're working to go on this journey with us in order for them to build that capability and eventually do it on their own. And if that means that we work our way out of being a service provider for them, that's okay, because we can always move on to new challenges and to collaborate with new organizations. So we build capability together with our partners. Also, this is probably the most important thing, we have a super strong prototyping culture. So we analyze, we do research, and we think a lot, we strategize, but the most powerful tool that you can do is build something and put it in front of people, put it in the real world, put it in context. So everything that we do, we try to go as quickly as possible into a prototyping phase in order to learn from that prototype and iterate as fast as we can in order to accelerate the learning process and arrive to a value creation as soon as possible. In the IDP, the prototyping is very emphasized, but that's actually a quality that's across the whole house. Whether you're launching a new company or you're doing a consulting job, prototyping is an extremely powerful tool. And then also there's a meaning to the things that we do. If you stop any individual across the house in any floor and you have a conversation that's longer than maybe 2 or 3 minutes, you realize that these are people that have a purpose in life. They're not here just to design cool products that end up in a landfill or the next app that might not be so useful. They really want to spend their time creating real, meaningful value for society and for people, for the world. And we take that very, very seriously. We want to make positive impact. And one of the ways that we make sure that we categorize or have a framework for making this impact is by including the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. In our summer school and in a lot of the activities that we do, we use that as a filter of looking at the world, and we associate a lot of the initiatives or projects or solutions that we do with one of those 17 goals. So it's sort of a framework of how we make sure that we're making positive impact and we're aligning with all the other institutions or corporations and government and public institutions that are also pushing towards these same goals. And then lastly, I would say that the last attribute that it cuts across the whole house is this approach of open and distributed way of innovating. So in the past, companies in general, I'm generalizing here, would hire a bunch of really smart designers, engineers, business people, and they will put them in a room and they'll say, we have some really smart people that can solve a problem. But that's not enough today. We really need to be able to tap into the distributed and open creativity, passion, solutions that are everywhere. So the way that we like to talk about it is saying, even if you're an organization or an individual that's here, that's used to working in a closed, centralized way, but you have the intention to work more open and distributed, that's really what we're looking for. So let's say we have, we do a first project or first interaction with you. It might be that we do something for you, but we're actually building that capability and sort of planting that seed of looking at the world in a more open and distributed way. We definitely expect the next initiative or the next collaboration that we do it together and you participate, you start building that capability with us. And then we're always pushing for you to go from the bottom left of this chart here to the top right, to actually embrace open and distributed innovation, to make it a de facto way of looking at the world, tapping into this creativity and open up your business, your approach, your learning, and your real-time deployment in a very open way, including society. Who participates in this? Anybody, students, professionals, makers, entrepreneurs. The more people that you can get to participate in the innovation process, the more powerful it is. Just like all of the buzzwords that you're hearing in the last few years, the wisdom of the crowd. It's a real thing, you know. It doesn't matter how smart, how creative, how technically savvy you are, you're never going to be able to compete with the collective wisdom, the collective creativity, and the collective savviness of the crowd. And we truly believe in that at CIID. So my last sentence would be that just interacting with CIID is a way of engaging in open and distributed innovation because of the diversity that's in the house, but we're also a bridge to collaborate with a much broader community of our faculty, other organizations, and not just in the local environment, but across the globe.
We're just about 7 minutes, so just the last word. It is an opportunity for me personally and also professionally to say thanks, many, many thanks to my own team within the walls of CIID for the amount of work, hours, effort, passion, and enthusiasm that we have put into 2017, and also again for our extended network to be part of this journey, and looking forward to what 2019 has to unfold. So I give the word to you. We are just on the 8th minute, I think, so I'm the Italian one being late, but the next one will be 7 minutes each. So come up on the stage, and who is next?
Thanks very much, guys. Next, we're going to hear from Gitte Jonsdottir and Francesca Desmarais, who are our studio lead and one of our lead designers in Innovation Studios. And they're going to give a quick walk through some of the work that we've done in 2017. So, guys, come on up.
Yes, as Steven alluded to, in Innovation Studios, we're kind of the front door for many of our partners. So the first faces that a partner sees when they come to CIID, and our job is to connect them to the methods, the talent, the processes that CIID is known for. Partners range from commercial companies to nonprofit to public sector, range of. We are a small team of 10 from just about as many places in the world, and a pretty diverse set of skills as well. Yeah. And in terms of 2017, it was a pretty crazy year. It was quite busy. We looked at a range of industries, from the future of mobility with a car company to public sector with the Copenhagen's Kommune, to looking at healthcare, to services, public services in Dubai, and all the way to the technology that underlies the internet. In terms of the kinds of markets and people we understood, I think the team went from China to the Mideast to Southern Europe to the US, UK, which is now part of Europe, I guess, and even at home in Denmark. A lot of our projects, unfortunately, we are confidential, so we're not allowed to talk about a lot of the work that we do. But one thing that we notice each year is that certain themes come up, and it's the themes kind of arise out of the interests of our partners and the things that are going on in the house. And yeah, we can share some of these themes that have come up in last year, and community was a key one for us. And Francesca can share a bit more insight into the work that she's been doing there.
Yeah, so community came up as a key theme for us, looking at open innovation and co-creation with a lot of our partners. And so I want to quickly share two of the projects that we can talk about. The first one was a collaboration we did with Mozilla. For those of you who aren't familiar with Mozilla, they're the company behind Firefox, but they also have a number of other internet and web technologies. And they were born as an open source, sort of open by default company, but we were working with them to figure out how could they use community and this open innovation more strategically. So how could they use different methods to create products that actually survive in the marketplace. So here are 6 frameworks that we identified. I'm going to show you a quick slice of the research. So 6 open innovation methods, open participation methods, which they could use strategically. So one was gifting, and this is where a company, usually a software company, would give something for free back to a community in the hopes that that community will build it and grow it and add value across that area. So an example here would be Google Android, which they will gift a particular part of their platform in the hopes that it enriches the entire Android community. The next one I want to talk about is creating together. So this is where different actors come together to build something, to take an idea, to explore it, iterate it, test it, and then eventually launch it. And a fantastic example of that is Local Motors. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they have a community that participates in different products and challenges. They've launched a car that's being tested right now in northern Denmark that you should check out, called Oli. The next idea is soliciting ideas. This is probably more traditionally what's thought of when we think of open innovation. This is idea challenges, crowdsourcing ideas, but can be used quite strategically by companies like Lego Ideas to come up with new products and better understand their market. And then we have one that's called learning through use, which is about passively understanding people in a system. A great example of this would be Spotify, and something that they've launched quite successfully with their Spotify Discover Weekly, where they're actually tracking your pattern passively as you use their system and their service, and then creating innovation and creating new products. The last 2, one is enhancing value exchange. So this is a fancy word for maybe like marketplaces. So this might be traditionally what you think of as Airbnb, or a fantastic example from Copenhagen, from Denmark, is called Be My Eyes, where the exchange facilitates people who are offering services and people who need services. So Be My Eyes puts together visually impaired people with people who can see and sort of help provide those extra eyes at a time when you might need them. And then the last one, networking common interest. This is about groups coming together to drive a particular outcome. So this might be people coming together to create standards, or more social change like Ashoka trying to drive participation and new ideas with the wider community at hand. And then the next case study I want to quickly show you is called Open Sports Beta. This is a collaboration we did with the Copenhagen Kommune, and particularly their sports and leisure department, where we were co-creating with people using sports facilities to create new services. So as the Copenhagen Kommune transfers over to more unmanned facilities, how can the community step up to be supported, and what services can be supported to create great experiences at these places? And this project is a really nice example of our methods and the way we'd like to partner with the community and businesses and organizations. So we have a quick video to show you.
The sound should be fine. Just give a click to the mouse pad.
Oh.
Open Sport Beta is an initiative created by the Copenhagen Municipality and the Copenhagen Institute of Interaction Design. This video is about the prototyping process that ran in the autumn of 2016. The purpose was to develop personal digital services for the city's sports facilities to ensure Copenhagen citizens feel more welcome, well-informed, and safe as users of the multitude of activities that the city offers. Even though the services are intended to be used at all the sports facilities of the city, the project focused on 2 locations, Nørrebrohallen and Rugby Sports Park. In close collaboration with leaders, employees, and the users of the 2 facilities, CIID conducted an inclusive design process in 4 phases. Phase 1 was about getting to know the facilities, employees, and users better. Through interviews, posters, and statistics from the municipality, CIID gained better insight into what the design challenges were. Phase 2 was about ideation. Along with the employees from the Nørrebrohallen and Valby Sports Park, CIID ran ideation workshops where a vast number of wild ideas were generated. All the ideas were then grouped by similarities, and from these groups 8 concepts were developed. We built and tested many different prototypes and used them as tools to probe and uncover the needs of users. With Spotify playlists, we tested whether users would contribute to the music being played at the facilities. On the empty floor areas, we created games that people could take part in between training or picking up their kids. We recreated that idea in digital form with interactive projections, which for example were used in warm-up sessions. We also built a chat service where users could text a service bot which would guide them through what is available at the facility. For example, they could find video guides and tutorials created by the employees, like how to use the sound system of Nørrebrohallen. We also built an info screen with an interactive map, an Instagram feed, and an event calendar. Our project resulted in specific strategies and conclusions, along with a budget and a plan for implementation. It was delivered in the spring of 2017, where it awaits the 2 other projects which are running in parallel about safety and interior architecture. The 3 projects together will form the overarching renewal strategy for city facilities. But the most important result is the new mindset that is gradually being adopted in the organization and among the users. An active mindset that creates engagement and a sense of ownership and belonging to the sports facilities of the city.
Are we on time?
We're perfect. Nice.
Thank you.
I can tell we're getting better and better at hitting these short lightning formats. It's something that we started doing seriously in 2017, so nice to see the tradition continuing. In addition to innovation studios and the house as a whole, of course, we have many different pieces to CIID, and CIID research is one of them. So I'd like to welcome Monica Seifert to the stage to talk a little bit about CIID research. Come on up.
Thank you.
Yeah, just do this. Yeah.
There we go.
Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Monica Seifert, and I'm happy to present you the work of CIID research. Let me start with a very short introduction, what CIID research really is. So our role is to create knowledge, to experiment with a hands-on approach, to untangle difficult topics that we can find in the society today. We are not a traditional academic research. We make stuff, we open exhibitions, we run workshops to learn more about the subjects we are working with. And we really try to embrace and question the new perspective on the design and designers today. So these are the main 5 topics we are interested in CIID research, ranging from circular economy to health and well-being, learning. And these are 4 projects that I'm proudly gonna present to you, and I'm happy to say they're all open source, so we can talk about it. Let's start with the first one, called Cohere. It's a long-term project that focuses on understanding the division, isolation, and the common ground of European heritage. So in Cohere we try to understand how the latest history of Europe can affect the concept of Europe today. So what is Europe now and what it will be in the future? And specifically in CIID, we tried to answer the question, what's the role of the museum in that context? Can the museum become an institution when people can gather and have a dialogue about these sensitive topics? And if so, what kind of digital tools do they need for that? So we started our research with many different workshops and co-creation sessions, as well as building different digital dialogic prototypes and placing them in different contexts of events and institutions. Last year, during 2017, we also made this pop-up experience called The New Europe, where we ask people to speculate on the future of Europe, how they should, how their world should look like in the New Europe, and what about their identity. The project we're working on right now is a workshop where, together with heritage experts and different curators from different institutions in Europe, we will speculate about the question of the role of the museum in 20 years. How can it be affected by the development of technology and things such as artificial intelligence and DNA data storage. The second project I briefly want to talk about is called Peer to You. This one is about ethical challenges developers face when creating connected devices. So here we're working with a partnership of lawyers, social network analysts, anthropologists, to bring their knowledge and their framework to develop tools that will empower IoT developers to think critically about what they're doing. We would like to embrace the developers to be aware when the outcomes of their projects can violate their personal code of ethics, their company's code of ethics, or even high-level European Union code of ethics around connected objects. These speculative tools we're trying to develop will be tangible, can be an artifact or a game. And we really want to try to create something that will help them constantly think about ethics while working on their projects. The third one is Eurofusion, and this one is looking a little bit forward into 2018. We're excited that we're stepping into fusion energy. And yeah, scientists claim that we're around 20 years from achieving a goal and being capable of producing fusion energy. That can replace all of these power plants. And I think in the times of rapid development and climate change and overpopulation, it's quite important to think about these solutions. But there are two things that are keeping us away from that goal. So the first one is the funding. Even though Eurofusion is very much being funded mostly from the US, they're still looking for a lot of money. And the European Consortium of the Development of Fusion Energy, which is the one that invited us to this project, is asked us to help try to address what's fusion energy, to find funding from countries in Europe and European Union. And the second aspect is more sociological one, and it's more about getting the trust. And what scientists and people and the community involved in fusion energy is struggling with is something called the nuclear stigma. After the year of the 86, after the Chernobyl especially, we as a society or Europeans are very skeptical about the nuclear energy, even though the knowledge about this subject is very low. So again, together with a lot of scientists and researchers and partners, we're going to work on an exhibition that is going to travel around Europe. And CIID's role is to create a participatory game that will allow the visitors to speculate about the future where fusion energy is accessible and how it will affect the planet. The last one I want to tell you about, just briefly, is called Balthazar, that we completed last year. And this one is especially interesting, I guess, for students, because last year it was done in collaboration with IDP. And for this one, I highly encourage you to check the magazines I left in the back of the room, where by using CIID app you can get to know a little bit more of about the process we used, and yeah, students, amazing, I think 7 projects. So from the personal code of ethics, or the code of ethics around IoT devices, to fusion energy, I'm very, very, very proud to say that we are actually quite a small team. And yeah, we need to really share a lot of trust and motivation to push the projects and the thinking forward and the logistics behind every single decision. So yeah, at the end, I can sum up that we are a team who is translating and bringing academic and scientific knowledge closer to people, and we are empowering traditional institutions to think speculatively about their futures. And yeah, if you would like to know a little bit more about our practice, you're welcome to talk to us or write us an email. Thank you.
Thanks, Monica. It's more likely somebody will stop you in the staircase to ask you about nuclear fusion. I think you never know. We have a lot of new faces in the building in January, and that's because we have a brand new IDP class. So every year we have roughly 24 students coming from all over the world to experience what might be at the heart of CIID, which is, as Simona mentioned, is education. So we'll have a few presentations on education. Aaron Armstrong will talk about the IDP, and then we'll have a little bit about our summer school initiative from Simona, and after that a little bit about the professional programs we offer to industry partners from Hasrock. But first up, Aaron, let's get this projector going.
Cool.
I'm both the MC and one half of the tech team tonight.
And yes, I'm sort of, wow, there's a lot of people here. I'm also probably one of the newer people on the team, so I'm thankful that I'm being entrusted to deliver this. It's a very core part of our offering. Allie Rose is not able to join us because she's home with her darling daughter, but so I'm representing the educational team, I guess. Yes, we want audio. Cool. So this will be a very lightning talk. I've got like 70 slides in 7 minutes. The wrong ratio. But I just wanted to give you kind of an overview of the curriculum, kind of the structure of the course, a flavor of the kinds of classes that the students go through in their education. It's a very intense year-long sprint, and then I'll feature some of the final projects from the last batch, so you can see what the outcome is. All right. So yes, the year is 2018. It's been 10 years of the Interaction Design program. This is from 2 years ago, where we're celebrating the 10-year anniversary of CIID. Huge alumni network. There are 198, and so we'll hit over 200 with this next batch. And we have over 200 visiting faculty. It's just amazing the amount of people that have been through as teachers, either as part of the ID program or in the summer school program. So very lucky to have such a wide variety of practitioners and distinguished folks. All right, so this is from our batch from last year, IDP 17. We're not supposed to say goodbye. We're saying good luck to them on their next journey. They're off trying to figure out what to do. They've had a month of kind of decompression, and hopefully now they're ready for the future. We want to say hello to our new batch in many languages. IDP 2018. We've got 24 folks from all over the world. I can prove it. We have it on a map, including some halves of the map. Canada, 1.5 of Denmark, I guess. No, so where's that? I should know where we are. That's Denmark. And a really broad range of skill sets that they're bringing with them into the program. So we're really lucky to have this broad range from people who've done interaction design to we're looking at biotech and all sorts of interesting things like telemedicine. Who knows? We just gotta. We're really blessed to have such a diversity in our students. So the curriculum structure. They start off with a very intense period in the winter from January to March, where they are basically going from 1 week to 2 weeks on foundational programs, and then longer investigations that take probably around 3 weeks, and then they'll have 9 weeks this year to do a final project with 2 industry projects built into that, and then a final exam. So it's a very intense, but like the key word is intense because it's nonstop. There's a few breaks. The foundation. So we're actually in week 2. So last week we had the Sherwins here teaching us about teamwork. Today and tomorrow we're getting to know how we use the lab, both downstairs where you have a wood shop and you can hopefully not do anything too bad to your, anyways, and then we have the electronics lab and some AV equipment. So we've been doing that. We also this week will have Tom Manning and David teaching us about storytelling and presentations. Tom has an awesome, he's a number of graphic novels, you can check that out. Then we have Introduction to Interaction Design with Blair and Matt. People-centered research, which I guess I am now going to be co-teaching with Francesca. Awesome, this is my first time co-teaching. Materials of Electronics with Paula. Introduction to Programming. Basic physical computing, where they learn how to make things talk to physical objects. More advanced physical computing. Rapid experience prototyping. You get to fake stuff, make magic happen, blow things up, evidently. Video concepting, where you make beautiful videos to present your concepts. As we make sense, so kind of exploring your physical senses. And then the 4 investigations, which are graphical user interface, machine learning, tangible computing with Massimo Bonzi, Peter and Ankit, and immersive environments, where we get into augmented reality. And then finally, service design would be the last in immersion or investigation. And then we get to the final project. So this is the 23 projects from last year. Covered a wide range of topics. A number of them about death. I don't know why. Memories, death. 10 weeks, very intense also. Identity, urban farming, our memories, augmented reality, machine ethics, co-parenting, gender bias, microjustice, immigration, entrepreneurship, intimacy, blockchain, of course. You can't have a interaction design program without blockchain. And spatial awareness, how we perceive the world around us and are slaves to maps. So I just want to show you a couple. How are we doing on time? Pretty good? Okay, awesome. So Arvind was looking at augmented reality beyond the goggles. How do we break ourselves outside the goggles and experience augmented reality through the metaphor of the torch, the magical torch? If I press a button, will it play? Let's see if there's music. I feel like there should be music. Sorry. Do we do? Just assume that there's a really nice soundtrack. It's there's no narrative. There should be audio though. Anyways, as you can see, this magical flashlight, you can use it to control things. So you can have a pop-up interface. You can learn about statues, and they can talk to you. So good for museums. And perhaps wayfind and discover your way around the city. And perhaps you can use it to play when you try to unlock the room. Anyways, so the idea is that this is a platform for other folks to design augmented reality experiences that go beyond the goggles and are more social. And maybe there's an explanation that we can't hear, but let's see. All right, there's one more video. Let's see if this one is audio. All right, here we go. Okay, cool. This actually shows the entire process that Marvin went through. Yes. All right, so that was our adventure into augmented reality without goggles. This is Yen's project, which is about machine learning assisted autobiography called Ghostwriter. So this is a prompt to help you start to narrate your life. I think there's a video.
Når man borte, så man jo egentlig ikke borte så lenge folk snakker om en.
Sorry, oops. I wanted to get rid of Chris.
Når man borte, så man jo egentlig ikke borte så lenge folk snakker om en. Mitt fulle navn Tove Marie Skau. Jeg har vært gift med Helge. Jeg var gift med han i nesten 45 år. Han døde for 8 år siden. Helge og jeg har 3 barn, så jeg har 6 barnebarn. Jeg synes også det hyggelig å kunne formidle noe av det jeg husker. Jeg håper jo ikke at historien om meg skal gå videre, at jeg var et hespetre, altså. Men at jeg var, ja, kanskje litt klok.
The memory of us lives on through the stories we tell and the things we leave behind. So how can we help people leave behind meaningful stories about their experience of life? That's what I wanted to explore for my final project at CIID. I talked with people to understand how we tell stories about ourselves today. And what I realized was that more and more of those stories are happening online. That's how I got the idea for a new kind of writing tool that helped people tell their life story. When you sign up, Ghostwriter builds a profile of you based on your data and some simple questions. It then generates a timeline of the important chapters in your life. As you start writing, Ghostwriter asks you guiding questions that help you get over the fear of the blank page. For each paragraph, Ghostwriter will help you guide the story and inspire you to write. We all have a unique story to tell about our experience of life. And I hope by writing about our life, we can leave something meaningful behind and also learn more about ourselves in the process.
Når man er borte, så er man jo egentlig ikke borte så lenge folk snakker om en. På den måten lever man videre, tror jeg.
Do we have time for one more? Or how are we doing? We can stop there.
Be honest.
We're definitely over.
Okay. Anyways.
Yes, one.
All right.
No, go ahead.
All right, blockchain the world. If you want to collaborate, we're going to use blockchain to have smart contracts about how we do work together and share each other's, sharing the wealth that we create by collaborating. This is the idea behind Circular? Is that how? Bytes. So, yeah, the project's called Bytes. Anyways, so VTOS was interested in blockchain, how that can help us understand work and negotiate creative work together as a network. All right, VTOS, take it away.
Meet Stacy. She is 23 years old and has recently graduated from university where she has developed certain types of skills. It is time for her to hit the job market, but she does not want to be a low-level employee at a random company, nor does she feel like she has enough courage or experience to become an entrepreneur. Freelancing might be an option, but Stacy finds it daunting. It's a jungle out there. With freelance market growing rapidly, there are numerous platforms to choose from, and since they are open for everyone to participate in, often the competition is high, making it extremely hard to find work, as well as deliver high-quality outcome. In addition to that, the client-contractor relationship is usually short-term, and one almost always ends up working alone in isolation. What if there was a way to work on different interesting projects while being part of a team with people you trust without being an employee? Luckily, the university Stacy has graduated from is aware of the problems young professionals face and has invited all of the alumni to join a new service. Bytes is an open-source platform model that enables groups of creative people to develop, contribute, and invest into different types of projects and ideas with their own time or capital. It allows for closed networks of trusted professionals to work together via a financially incentivized collaboration model. During her studies, Stacy has worked on a number of different school projects and concepts. However, none of them have been developed further into a viable product or service, since there was no real incentive for anyone to bring these ideas to life, nor was there an easy way to formalize the ownership of them. Built on Ethereum blockchain, Bytes allows easy distribution of shares and capital of any project. Now, Stacy and her team can continue working on that idea again, being sure that each of them formally own a certain share of the project. While that does not automatically make the idea better, now Stacy's project is visible for other people in the university's network to follow and collaborate on. Since the team does need help in certain areas, they now are able to pay other collaborators in shares of the project. Of course, some contractors may prefer cash over shares, but that's fine. While Stacy's team may not have made any income yet, Bytes enables both parties to sign smart contracts, which guarantee that contractors will be paid once there is any income in the budget. Stacy's team can also decide to make a certain amount of their shares available for purchase within the network. This allows contributors to formally invest in the idea, while at the same time generating some income for the project to cover the contractor deals. In such a way, Bytes allows Stacy to jump into this new way of working. Now knowing that she has the support of her network, Stacy is more confident in bringing her own ideas to life and helping others to do the same.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Aram. So I'd like to invite Simona back up to talk a little bit about how our education initiatives expand beyond the IDP into something that we call summer school.
Yes, and normally Ana Laura Arias would be here talking about the summer school, but because of the summer school plan, she's actually right now in Costa Rica planning our next venture there, so I'll do my very best to represent her. And hi Ana Laura, I'm sure she's looking from the Caribbean word. So the summer school, yes, what is it all about? The summer school is a platform for people from all over the world to join us in Copenhagen, and the goal of the summer school is really to disseminate tools, skills, methods in life center innovation, so design, technology, and so on. The goal is for people from all different backgrounds to come and really focus on learning one skill for 1 week. And it's quite fantastic. Last year in Copenhagen, I think we had approximately 200 participants from 50 countries or something like that, 52 faculty, a mix of backgrounds, expertise, interests, and so on, but all coming with the passion to learn something new. The goal for the summer school is not to create new solutions, especially not within the time of the week, but it's about enabling everyone and equipping everyone with new knowledge, new skills, and maybe that acquisition of new skill can help them approaching their work life and their everyday at work in a different way, can help like maybe initiating a transformation in their mindset and also in their profession. And people are of course free to use them in the way that is most impactful in their life. But our emphasis here is really to lower the barriers for learning. Everyone is welcome. Last year in the same class we had a person who was 16 years old and a 65-year-old, and different types of mentality, thinking style and working styles coming together to learn. We have a video to show the experience of the summer school from last year. The summer school is also focused on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by the UN as a framework to learn.
I think the most inspiring thing about being here is all the different perspectives that people from all over the world bring. So we have many different cultures and professional backgrounds, personal passions that all sort of get to intermingle, and then it's that debate and conversation about sort of the purpose of our design, the interpretation of the research that we conduct in the field, and then bringing that together into something that has meaning.
I think that there are very few times that as an adult you can do some sophisticated play. This place allows you to play because I get to do things that are kind of related to my job, that are kind of related to my interests, but are things that are more on the fringes, more experiments.
People who are really willing to immerse themselves in the unknown get the skills down the line to really be able to solve really hard problems in whatever they pursue.
I think the Sustainable Development Goals are an interesting context for CIID Summer School because not only does it have the students apply these methods in a real-world context where they're working on objectives that are meaningful and solve real problems, but it also helps them as designers reflect on the limits of design and how design can be used in affecting larger systemic problems.
We work with data from climate change data to economic development data to build visualizations that tell a story about the way our world is changing and the possibilities for the future.
I think Sustainable Development Goals were like really a good umbrella to work under because it gives you a purpose and you can think more to the roots and doing something good rather than just creating technology, and it gives you a purpose.
Design students are driven by tackling big, ambiguous problems. They're the kind of people who are curious and believe that they can solve anything through the power of design.
I've been very interested in getting inside the Internet of Things and affecting change there. I've been watching it from the outside and I want to get in, and so that's the way that I selected my courses, in a very pragmatic way that I felt built on each other, and I've gotten a good taste of many different facets of the Internet of Things that I need to understand the tools that I'll use in helping to create that new future.
I've seen students kind of be in between doing really abstract artwork or doing very concrete machine learning tasks for solving real-world problems.
The experts that they bring in from around the world are seasoned in their craft and are excellent at what they do, and being in contact in a personal way is a wonderful way to learn, and it's the most enriching way to learn, I think, too.
This experience definitely gives me a more entrepreneurial kind of mindset. So while I stay in my company and work because I like my company, still I would be always looking out to do something new and and see if there is some opportunity to scale it up.
Yeah, a very exciting platform, and it's really nice for us to see what happens also when we bring this platform to other places in the world where maybe for local talent it's difficult to access this type of faculty, knowledge and learning. And so right now we call it summer schools around the world. So the idea is to take for the first time the summer school outside Denmark. Next stop is Costa Rica in April 2018, so coming up pretty soon, and you're all welcome to check out our plan there. But also in the pipeline for 2018 we have Turkey, US, New York, and India. And happy to explore other places in the world. And of course, as for the professional programs that Hez will talk about very soon, these platforms are very much enabled by our network, our alumni going around the world and advocating CIID and wanting to build like a seed, plant a seed of what CIID could do in other places in the world. And then they are, of course, open to the public and everyone, and not just to the CIID community. So check them out, and yes, very exciting platform. I think next is Hez. Should we just have? So we skip.
Yeah, I still want to applaud.
I'll adopt your presentation. You can start.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm Hez. I work upstairs. And I'm going to be talking to you about the professional programs, which I have been part of for the last 3 years, teaching in Singapore and teaching in Denmark and a few other places. So what are they? So the professional programs are basically really intense multi-day workshops that we deliver to major cities around the world, and we do that in 2 ways. We either have a public workshop where we open that up to anyone who'd like to join, or we deliver specific, tailored, customized content within businesses that are related to specific projects or initiatives. And just a note, I think being a professional in this field, I've seen a big change in how people are thinking about design and design thinking, and a lot of people are really interested. So the people that we get to teach in the professional programs, they are actually, some people are designers, some people are just really interested and wanted to see how they can apply this to their business. So we focus in 3 areas. We look at service design through experience prototyping, intro to design thinking, and intro to interaction design. Our ambition with this is to disseminate the tools and methods that have been so successful in the IDP and within the house and the rest of the design industry around the world to people to use on the problems that they're facing within large companies, small companies, as part of their school. There really are a range of people. And we do that around the world. So in 2016 and 17, we've been in London, New York, Bangalore, Pune, Dubai, and more. And in 2018, we're actually kicking off next week in Copenhagen, teaching a service design workshop that's fully booked, but that was a public workshop. And then we're off to Athens, Singapore, Brasilia, Sao Paulo, and let's see, ... Maybe we'll see you guys somewhere. So as Simona was saying, this all is really enabled by the CIID community, but it's open to all. So just like the faculty that teach the IDP, we try and bring in experienced individuals who are working on these areas so that they have relevant content to share. We also rely on them to help us distribute the fact that we're coming to a new area. So there's this really nice story that Simon, who's actually running this program, shared with me before today. And he said that there was a woman in India who was a participant of the summer school 2 years ago, and she connected them with so many people
that they ended up running 2 public workshops around India. So people who come are really, really inspired and really hoping to be more connected to the people who are teaching and the people around CIID. I've said quite a bit about our participants, but these kind of change. So if we are doing a customized workshop, then that will be with kind of employees from a company. And we'll be working on things that maybe are relevant to their projects. So this is a little snapshot from the workshop that we did in Dubai. And this was actually connected to a project that we were doing upstairs. So we sometimes use the professional programs to, as Simon was saying earlier, to build the capability internally within a company that we're working with. For public workshops, our participants have been super engaged, and we always have a really high quality of people. They come from really a varied background. And as more people start having some knowledge of design thinking and design methods, in our workshops we do kind of push them to use them. So it's a really hands-on approach. It's just not quite as intense as the IDP program, but it's certainly not a walk in the park. So they really get an understanding of the benefits, but also a little bit of the emotional side to applying these methods, because it can be a little bit frustrating to work on a project and not feel like you're getting somewhere, and then all of a sudden within your team you figure something out, and that's kind of part of the process of design as well. So we also get feedback from our participants. So I'm pretty high marks. Well done, us. But also some of the other feedbacks that we have received has been that people kind of keep the decks on the desktop and refer to them like throughout the week. Right, so where to next? Well, there's more places to fill up for 2018, so if you have any recommendations, you can come to me. But also we're really looking into creating partnerships locally around the world to help us create local content and work on local problems. So yeah, that's us. I think I was kind of short. Oh.
Yeah. Give me a 6.
I made up some of your time, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So CIID is clearly about learning design in all its facets and putting it into professional practice, but without the last kind of pillar of the I don't know, CIID triumvirate, which is deploy, nothing becomes real and gets out there in the world. And so we have Jan coming up to tell us about two very critical programs at CIID that are all about where design meets the world of business. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Putting this one.
This guy.
Yeah. Yep, we're connected. Okay, this goes. So, getting there. Yes. Hello everyone. Yes, we are a lot of people. Good to see you. So we finally reached the top floor. Exactly. So I actually have 2 talks, and I've been promised 2 times 7 minutes because I was not sure in the order of things. So so bear with me. I'll be as brief as possible. But InnoFounder, I'm here to present to you. Oh, just a second. I'm missing my notes for some reason. Why? Is it maybe it's mirroring? Yes.
Go to user separate display.
Yeah. Use separate display?
Yeah. Try to
Okay, sorry. You know, guys, I turned 50 in just a moment.
No excuse.
But seriously, I can't read this bloody thing. It's really true. Sorry. Yes, thank you. Now I can.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. It's still a few months old.
Okay.
But this year.
5 years old.
Okay. So, yes, this is a national incubator. And it's a design-driven incubator. It's owned by Innovation Fund Denmark, and it's operated by CIID and the DDC, also known as Danish Design Center. And it targets recent graduates from accredited educations. And it offers 12 months of funding. That's 15,000 a month salary for each entrepreneur that is admitted to the program, and 35,000 Danish kroner lump sum for the idea that this entrepreneur is admitted with. Also, a seat in a co-working space somewhere in Denmark. We work together with 5 different co-working spaces, and mentoring, a lot of mentoring. I'll get back to that. Expert workshops, and of course access to a vast community and network. And really, nobody asked for equity or for a refund, just the total dedication for those 12 months. As I said, the incubator is design-driven and it's people-centered, and as such, it's really, as you just said, Blair, this is where all the exercises with how to apply design thinking methods when you within problem solving. How do you actually do that when you are building your own business? So building a business is like a cascade of issues and problems and challenges, and lots of opportunities and how to choose. And these differences has been a challenge at all time whenever anyone wanted to start his or her own business. But applying people-centered design thinking methods, we actually find a way through how to select and how to problem solve. And this is a group photo of our first batch. And when I say our first batch, it's because this is admitting 20 entrepreneurs 2 times a year. I'll get back to that in just a moment. But us operating this program is not even 5 months old. We started out September 1st, 2017. So the idea is to put these young entrepreneurs through everything that we know, teaching them, putting them on a service safari. We did that early on at a boot camp with a design workshop. We made them map their user journeys and also identifying the touch points. And this is something that none of them were used to. They all came from all kinds of educations all over Denmark, but they have not been taught this. But already the next day, one of the companies, Penstable, went out to the university, former university, and applied what they had learned, offering free cookies, almost, it says on the sign. But as I promised you, just a few words about how many we actually admit. So around 20 entrepreneurs, and of course they are admitted having an idea of some kind. So they can be 3 entrepreneurs, 2 or 1 entrepreneur on one idea. So usually it translates within somewhere between 11 and 14 startups. So September 1st we greeted this bunch. Come February 1st, we greet another 22 entrepreneurs, defining 14 startups. So we're going to be 25 startups now. And one of the startups is the Apple Girl. What she's doing is actually trying to replace leather, developing an alternate product with the same capabilities as leather, but based on the pulp from pressed apples, hence the name. But I will let Hannah introduce herself. For some reason it does this. It's not starting.
It's just a sound.
Oh, sorry.
Boost the sound on your.
Yeah. I would think I could. For some reason.
It's apple pulp, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's try this.
It's not in? Yes, it is in actually.
There we go.
Okay, it was on the wrong one. Okay, cool.
I'm Hannah. I'm from the US. I'm studying sustainable fashion at Kia Copenhagen. I'm making an alternative textile to leather using biomass food waste.
First, apples are pressed for cider. We use the stuff that they have to throw away in this process called pulp.
Food waste is a real problem because 30% of all the food that we are growing and using all of these, resources to grow just gets thrown away. So I want to use that in a circular economy business model to create alternative leather. And also it solves a problem for the fashion industry and that leather is so polluting.
But not only in the fashion industry, this new material has the potential to solve a problem in industries across fields, from like luxurious packaging labels and business cards to, functional festival merchandise. It's intriguing, and it's this kind of sensuous tactility that really, builds connections with people. Right now, we're working on testing for industrial scale production processes with the equipment in the lab at the Technical Institute in Tostrup. The material can be laser cut when it's dried and maybe even 3D printed. I took inspiration from the authentic qualities of the apple when developing the material, and the fruit is dried much like leather you can buy in the stores to eat. It has a really unique tactility and actually unique taste as well.
It's just really fun for me to experiment in the lab, and I'm definitely going to continue on with it. Alternative leather is going to take over the industry. I think this is the future.
Thank you, Hannah. So, a few more words on the program that Hannah has embarked on. The course is 12 months with workshops and mentoring, and it's divided into two phases. So phase one is design thinking, so designing the right thing and the methods that you would apply in order to actually select how to choose. Phase two is then design execution, designing the thing right. And to mark that, we have a demo day here, the mini demo day. And in total, we have workshops like one boot camp in the beginning, of course, the mini demo day and final demo day, and spread out throughout the year, at least 8 workshop days, where we teach them basically everything they would need to know. This also taps into legal and a lot of other issues. Design methods also, of course, and what we're trying to do is really to front load. As I said, we've only been working 4.5 months, so we've already learned a lot from the first batch, trying to apply that to the next batch. So we're kind of our own startup as well. And that's the exciting part of it, I think. So we are trying to front load with all the basic stuff that we know they need to know quickly. and design thinking methods is definitely a crucial part of that to support them from the get-go. Yeah. Also, throughout the whole course period, they will have a permanent mentor assigned to them to help that specific startup move forward. And also a design mentor will ensure the relevant design approaches. And just today, this very day, for the whole day, this batch has been at their 3rd design workshop here in the house on the 3rd floor for the full day. And on top of this, we have more than 30 world-class domain experts teaching in the workshops and advising them. Yes, and this is designers and again all kinds of experts within different fields that we as mentors can plug into each startup so that they can get this one-on-one knowledge. And these domain experts are also part of our faculty when delivering workshops and talks and so on. Yes. So, as I said, it's owned by Innovation Fund Denmark, and it's operated by CIID and Danish Design Center. Yes. Thank you.
That's where to apply it.
Huh?
That's where to apply it.
That's where to apply it.
So that was part 1.
That was part 1. And welcome to part 2.
Are you 50 now? No.
Huh? Should I take off my jacket?
Give me a little more.
I try to look different, so we speech, yeah.
Hello there. Good to see you. Yes. So just a few words about CIID Nest, because it's kind of funny that Innovation Fund Denmark has kind of realized that a design-driven approach, not as much a pure tech approach to the product or the service that anyone wants to build and make money on, but that actually, if you do this people-centered design approach, you can actually get a lot better results. We've been doing that for years here. So we are proud to be part of spreading the experience we have with CIID Nest on InnoFounder, along with my esteemed colleague here, Christopher and Astrid, who are both here today, supporting me mentally while I'm standing here and talking. So CIID Nest is also a 12-month cycle, but it's divided into 3 sequences of 4 months, and I'll get a bit more into that in a moment. We apply prototyping resources and legal and accounting support, and lots of mentoring and network from the huge CIID faculty and global network that you've been hearing about the past hour. So the first stage, the first 4 months, we call incubation, and the startup is admitted to that. And then after those 4 months, we have an assessment talk, where we, in general, assess whether we think the progression is going okay, but also whether the startup actually thinks this is something that works out. Then we move on to the product development stage, and again an assessment meeting until the final phase, the pre-launch phase. In 2017, we've had 3 startups through CIID Nest. MPEG being one of them. So MPEG basically provides clean, affordable electricity to the 1.2 billion people who live without that today in the world. Starting out in Africa, actually in Eastern Africa, they have 3 installations now. They're installed in 3 different locations. The world's biggest refugee camp, Bidi Bidi in Uganda, together with Dan Church Aid, and Tanzania and Malawi. It's a home solar kit, so monthly micropayments through mobile. Everyone has mobile in Africa. Provides actually both down payment, or no, it's not called a down payment. It's called like an installment, a monthly installment. But it also actually opens up the electricity from the gear that is set up in the house. And after 3 years, the facility is owned by the household who has paid. And they can use that for collateral for new loans and so on. Also, we have Media Sifter, who basically have a solution for the, as they call, noisy and biased media landscape. And that has been a thing of 2017, hasn't it? fighting fake news and hidden agendas in the news by letting their community fact check the news to create validated content. So the Media Sifter mission is decentralize influence and distribute truth. That's ambitious. They're scraping content for the community to read, access, and fact check using blockchain technology also. And Bloodlink. So Bloodlink, they're looking into a situation where 60% of the world population lacks safe access to blood, and they want to ensure blood availability worldwide. They have a solution that offers a predictive inventory management. They offer blood banks to forecast donor availability and predictions on blood demand. And actually, we have a small video. Let's see if that will play.
Statistics show 338 million people need blood due to medical procedures every year. This includes operations, trauma, cancer treatments, or pregnancy complications. Because of the huge demand for blood, a new illegal trade has entered the market. Not only is the quality of the bought blood questionable, it shatters the trust people have in the healthcare system. We believe blood is a fundamental need, and everyone should have safe and timely access to it. Bloodlink solution identifies ready-to-donate individuals and sends daily, monthly, or seasonal availability forecasts to blood banks. Blood banks use this information to streamline their blood supply, thus managing their inventory with never-before-seen efficiency. Our solution not only improves the quality of life of people, but also helps reduce blood wastage at its source. Bloodlink is a Danish digital healthcare startup, headquartered in Copenhagen, and currently working towards a market entry in India. Our team has the capability to make a difference, and this is just the beginning. We see big future possibilities in predictive healthcare and intelligent centralized healthcare solutions. Do you believe that everybody should have access to blood when they need it? Then join our impact journey, and together we will build a blood-sufficient world.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, that brings us to the end of our program. I hope everybody has a kind of a better sense of this sprawling enterprise that is CIID, and with a few of the faces behind some of these projects, you'll get a sense of what we mean when we say the CIID network. It truly is far-ranging and worldwide, and every year it takes a lot of people to bring to life everything that we do here at CIID. So usually we take questions at the end, but we'll leave that to a kind of a generalized mingle since there's so many people here. To the people online, if you want any more information about anything that you've seen here today, go to CIID.dk and you can follow us there, and maybe you can check us out on Instagram. I don't know if that's public knowledge.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. We're on Instagram. But thank you everybody for coming out today, and you're welcome to hang out and to have a chat. Thanks. Drinks. Drinks.
Thank you.